McCormick with us. He is a U.S. Army veteran, former CEO of Bridgewater, massive hedge fund, and he is running for Senate, and we need him. No pressure, Dave, but I mean, the future of the election and maybe the future of the republic rests on your ability to win and help deliver Pennsylvania. So, we know
I'm
you're used to
ready.
pressure.
Broad shoulders. I'm ready. Broad shoulders. How are you?
So we're good. We're really trying to every day now. We're in election cycle now, right? I mean, we're really feeling it. It's the election day feels like it's barreling towards us, or we're barreling toward it, and we're trying to make sure that we bring as much awareness of the particular battlegrounds that matter as possible. We've talked to you before about the situation in Pennsylvania. First off, I wanted to ask to get into the current news cycle and what's going on. There are some encampments on schools in Pennsylvania, right? Some of these sort of pro-Hamas encampments.
Yeah.
How have they been handled, and what can you tell us about how that's going in your state?
Well, I think in general, it's a real disgrace that these encampments persist, and it's most prominently in Pennsylvania. It's at University of Pennsylvania, and I visited there last Wednesday, and you have one of these situations where the administration said very clearly what's happening is an absolute violation of campus policy. We walked past these encampments. We had some kids take us around. There's probably 500 kids in that encampment. They speculate only about a third of them are actually Penn students. The most vile things, Zionism is racism, go back to Poland, from the river to the sea. It is vicious, and it's really intimidating to the Jewish kids and other kids to walk through there. They've shut down classes. It is a travesty, and there's not enough moral leadership and leadership in general to get control of these things. And what I've said publicly is, if you're the president of Penn, you should essentially shut down that encampment. If it's students of Penn, they should be expelled or have disciplinary action. If it's outside agitators, they should be arrested by the police of the city of Philadelphia, and get control of this thing, because it's just, and this is not about First Amendment. What they're doing is completely violation of the policy and goes well beyond the protections of the First Amendment by inciting violence and bigoted hatred and behavior.
Dave, we appreciate you coming on with us. We know you're all over the state of Pennsylvania campaigning. I'm assuming inflation, cost of goods is still overwhelmingly what you hear about the most. In your experience, what are Pennsylvanians the most focused on, and how do you think that plays into not only your Senate race, but also obviously the presidential race, as Pennsylvania, along with Michigan and Wisconsin, Big Ten states, probably going to decide this election?
Yeah, I think the two issues of inflation and abortion, inflation and border are the two big issues. Inflation, 60% of Pennsylvanians live paycheck to paycheck, and prices for them are up 20%, 21%. Real wages are only up 14%. So most Pennsylvanians are getting squeezed on food, fuel, rent, and it's making it harder and harder. And then interest payments on a pickup truck or interest payments on a new house make them almost twice as expensive as they were before Biden came into office. And this is the direct result of President Biden, and Bob Casey supported him every step of the way, votes 98% of the time with him. The direct result of this excessive spending. We've had too much spending from Republicans and Democrats alike, but it has gone through the roof under Biden, $6 trillion of incremental spending, and the war on oil and gas. And those are the drivers of inflation, and the voters absolutely don't believe this nonsense that Bidenomics is making their lives better. They see what it's doing. So that's issue number one. A close second is the border. 10 million illegal migrants. I mean, are you kidding me? The national security implications of, 160 people apprehended on the terrorist watch list. You guys know these statistics. Those are just the ones that are apprehended. And then the fentanyl crisis. It's a huge deal for Pennsylvania. We lost 4,000 Pennsylvanians last year. These cartels pushed the fentanyl. That's just in Pennsylvania. Those cartels pushed the fentanyl across the border, and it's in Pennsylvania within a couple of days, and it's killing people, almost 100,000 nationally. So that issue, the border, the economic burden, the crime, the national security risk, and then the fentanyl, if you and I, if the three of us were sitting in a room together the day Biden took office, we could have never imagined the border would get this out of control. And it's, I think people look at it and they see a lack of leadership and chaos. And this, again, Bob Casey voted for sanctuary cities, voted against the wall, voted against funding for Border Patrol, voted against the fentanyl initiative. Bob Casey and Joe Biden own this border, and I think it's the second defining issue for Pennsylvanians. And I think for those reasons, President Trump's ahead in the polls, and I'm closing fast in the polls. And I think people just want new leadership that can undo this chaos.
We're speaking to Dave McCormick, running for Senate in Pennsylvania against Casey. And Dave, I want to bring something to you because we talked a little bit about the campus situation and looking at the Pennsylvania state of play going into the election. John Fetterman, I don't know what else to say. We've been saying it on the show, so we have to stand behind it. He's been solid on the Israel-Gaza issue based on everything that I've seen so far. I know he's almost a Bernie Sanders disciple on a bunch of other stuff, but here's what I'm getting at. Are they going to play a game here with the various, high-level Democrats in your state? You've got the governor is what's his name? Shapiro. You got Shapiro. You've got Fetterman. Are they going to do the whole, we go our own way? We're not these crazy leftist Democrats that have been running the country the last 4 years. Like, I just want to know if you're seeing that and if that's something you're trying to get ahead of, right? Where they do the head fake of, well, we're not crazy like the rest of the Democrats in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I actually think, Fetterman's a mystery to me too, but I think we're in such a crisis. I think you have to just call balls and strikes. And I'm sure Fetterman and I disagree on 90% of his views, but on this crisis with Israel and what's happening in the campuses, he's been a voice of clarity and moral courage, and I appreciate it. So I've said it. I've said, on this, John Fetterman and I agree, and I think it actually makes Casey look that much weaker, because here you have an example of someone who is from the Democratic Party, very progressive, who sees the right and wrong of this. I give him all the benefit of the doubt. I think he really believes everything he's saying, and I think he's stepping up and saying it. Where Casey tries to have it both ways. Let me give you an example. He says he's against anti-Semitism, and then he endorses Summer Lee, who is a member of the squad and explicitly anti-Semitic and has been associated with all these radical groups. Has refused to call October 7th genocide and a barbaric act that it was. So you can't have it both ways. This is a test. This is a test for these college presidents. It's a test for our public officials. Are you going to call balls and strikes, right and wrong, good and evil? Fetterman, to his credit, has been good on this. Bob Casey, not so much.
We hear a lot about the get out the vote campaign that Pennsylvania has. And one of the stats that I saw and that I hammer home, half the vote was in for Fetterman before they even got to the debate. On the ground, are Republicans, not only for your campaign, but also for Donald Trump's, going to have a ground game, so far as you can tell, that is competitive with what Democrats have been able to do the last couple of cycles in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I think so. I'd say two things. One, Pennsylvania is becoming redder and redder. Pennsylvania will be a red state by 2026. That's big news. In 2016, there were 1 million more registered Democrats than Republicans. Right now, there's 390,000 registered Democrats more than Republicans, and by Election Day, I think it'll be 300. So we are becoming redder because of some of the demographic shifts, because a lot of Democrats are leaving the party and becoming Republicans, working families. And so we get the wind at our back that way, and the key is to get these voters registered and get them out to vote. And there's a lot of effort being put into a ground game to do that. And then the second thing is mail-in ballots. And listen, this is an area where I think we have alignment. There's an outside group and a lot of efforts to bring resources and focus on this. And President Trump, who has been skeptical of mail-in ballots, I think has essentially laid out his position, which he's encouraged all forms of voting, including mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. He recognizes that we need that to win Pennsylvania. We need to close that gap. We're not going to exceed the Democrats, but we need to close that gap. His campaign and my campaign and the RNC and all the various groups are very aligned and working together on this. So it's a big advantage the Democrats have. We're not going to fix that advantage overnight, but I think we're going to have an opportunity to really chip away at it. And Pennsylvania's going to be, when President Trump wins and I win, we're going to win by a few points. So this really matters, and it's part of the battle plan to change leadership for our Commonwealth and our country.
Dave McCormick, everybody. Dave, really appreciate you being with us. Thanks so much.
Oh, you guys are great. DaveMcCormickPA.com. Thanks for having me, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks so much.
We will see you soon for sure. I'm going to come up there. I'm going to find a game. I'm going to campaign with you. Can't wait to get up to Pennsylvania.
All right. I was going to say it. I'm ready, man. We can find a big Penn State game. It'll be fun.
Yes, we're going to do it. I promise. We'll get it on the schedule here coming up soon. I got to figure out exactly what my responsibilities are for Big Noon for the Fox pregame show, but I will know that sooner rather than later. We'll figure out a game. That is Dave McCormick. Encourage you to go check out the website, get registered if you're not registered in Pennsylvania, because you got a big Senate race and the presidential race both to be focused on. But I also want to tell you, everybody's trying to save money. You just heard Dave McCormick talk about the fact that 60% of Pennsylvania families living paycheck to paycheck, dealing with the challenges and the ravages of inflation. And when that happens, you try to save money wherever you can. And right now, Pure Talk can make a huge difference for you. Unlimited talk, text, plenty of 5G data, just $20 a month. Less than half the price of Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. You can keep your phone and your same phone number. I have been texting with my 16-year-old all day on his Pure Talk phone. We use Pure Talk to stay in touch with our kids. You can use Pure Talk to stay in touch with your family, and you can save a bundle as well. You can switch today. All you have to do from your cell phone, dial pound 250, say the keywords Clay and Buck. Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will make switching easy again. Pound 250, say Clay and Buck. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, say Clay and Buck.